because no is still a negative. So therefore, the word no law or fact shall be tried in court. By your own confessions, people, you go, there is no. There's no such thing as a no, because you can't perform a negative condition of performance. But if you say there is no, what do I have in my hand? Nothing. You just made nothing a fact. Now I can prosecute you with nothing. Well, you just walked right into that trap. Don't feel bad. No one's ever gotten past it. Everyone steps in the trap. Let's see how close of attention you are. What is your name? No. I'm a judge. I said, what is your name? I just called you a what? Would it be easier? Would it be easier if I did this? Would it be easier if I did that? Now does that make sense? You see, this here is a period, folks. This isn't a question mark. That means, what is your name?
Do you see a question mark hanging above me?
Yeah. So, the answer to the question is, this is a pronoun, this is an adverb, this is an adverb, this is a verb. Even if you were to identify the word what to be your name, why am I calling you a verb? You don't exist as a dangling participle verb. The answer is, this is the answer to the question, what is your name? You identify syntax. You say, well, what is a pronoun? This is an adverb, yours is an adverb, and name is a verb. Can I see the correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar for the avoidance of the perjury? The judge is going to go, okay, case dismissed. Please leave the courtroom. Bang, just like that. Don't care what you're there for. Because the traffic citation, anything he's got to say to you is a lie. You can always tell I'm lying to you. My lips are moving. Hey, it's a fact, folks.
So anytime you go through a stop sign and you get a ticket, you could use that argument in court?
Well, actually, I won a case. I said, Mr. Police Officer, would you please come up? He goes, yes. He says, you testified that I went through the stop sign. I said, you just said I went through the stop sign. I says, what does a stop sign look like? So 8 sides, painted red and white, made of metal. How do I occupy the same space as a stop sign? How can I go through it? As 2 objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. This is a fraudulent statement. And this is a pronoun, adverb, verb, adverb, adjective, pronoun. Can I see the correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar for the avoidance of the perjury? Judge goes, you know, you can't go through a stop sign. And yes, that is a correct statement. And yes, this is a fraudulent statement. And you committed fraud under Title 15, Section 1692E and Title 18, 1001. Fictitious conveyance of grammar and false and misleading statements. Case dismissed. Mr. Police Officer, you're going to be reprimanded. I want your supervisor in here, as you're going to have to learn how to use correct grammar. You see, these are all tricks and traps, little things that are hidden in plain view right in front of you. And all the little things that go on right in front of you that you don't even understand. Now I'll show you another little trick that the Universal Postal Union in Bern, Switzerland. You know that all wars on planet Earth are orchestrated by the post office. Post office controls all money in all 250 countries. World War II was not an exercise in a world war as per se. It was an exercise in population reduction of 200 million people, and that's all it was. The planet was not ready to support 8 billion people in 2012. If World War II didn't take place, we would have hit 8 billion people in probably 1970, where there wasn't technology or production capabilities of feeding, so people would have been dying globally in mass units. Millions of people would have been dying at a time from starvation, rather than having a controlled issue. If the plague of 1525 or 1535, something like that, which wiped out half the population of the planet, didn't take place, we would have hit saturation way back in 1800. And then there would have been a mass destruction. When I was in, let's see, I was in high school, I think it was 11th grade, about 17 years old, we did an experiment, took a 4-ounce potato, put it in a 2-gallon fruit jar with 2 fruit flies. In 30 days, we had 50,000 fruit flies and no potato. On the 31st day, we had no fruit flies and no potato. The point is, you can expand out of existence all at the same time. You can go out and go fishing, which, if anybody's ever done this, and you put like 30 bluegills in a 5-gallon pail. And in 1 minute, all 30 bluegills die of suffocation. At the same time, they're all gone. When the oxygen runs out, they all go, perish. Well, the same thing is true with the things that are happening on this planet about what orchestrates. So we're going to take you back into history, to Hawaii, which is a cause and effect. 1848, King Kamehameha makes a proclamation that if Hawaiians are dead, are off the land for 20 years, the land is free for settlement. And being Hawaii is the center of the Pacific, it's very important. In 1800, the population of Hawaii was 2 million Hawaiians. In 1829, there was 34,000 Hawaiians left alive. In 34 years, they all died from whooping cough, tuberculosis, typhoid, smallpox, measles, mumps, chickenpox, all of our childhood diseases. As the Hawaiian Islands were isolated, Cook shows up in 1789, comes back in 1800 with Bishop, and because the world knows that Hawaii exists and they start sailing there, they bring all the diseases of Europe and the United States, and in 34 years, 99% of all Hawaiians are dead from genocide by germ warfare. And so the Hawaiian population is so small, based on its size, that there's King Kamehameha, in 1848, nationalizes the entire island under the Bishop's Trust, putting all the remaining choice lands into the Hawaiian Kingdom. Now, 1/3 of the Hawaiian Islands was given to the Philippines, 1/3 to China, 1/3 to Japan, because they were the dominant population at the time in the Hawaiian Islands. And in the Hawaiian Islands themselves, the Hawaiians kept all the choice farmlands. With that said, China declares Hawaii to be part of their country. Japan declares Hawaii to be part of theirs, and so do the Philippines. The United States took over in I'll get to that in a few minutes. The United States Postal Service shows the Universal Postal Union, better known as the UPU. If you want to go and study this, upu.com is what you type in your computer, Universal Postal Union, and you can get a history lesson off of Wikipedia, which will show you what's going on. Some of this stuff was never made public. I uncovered it, and quite by accident on the 6th of January, and was able to certify how World War II was conducted. In 22nd of October, 1871, the Hawaii files bankruptcy. Now, under the words of damage, no damage becomes legal, and under maritime law of commerce, which falls into the maritime salvage claim, Title 46. Chapter 16, Section 781, that's your salvage. That's maritime salvage. All right, the Bern Switzerland shows up in Hawaii on this date and gets Hawaii, King Kamehameha V, to file bankruptcy. Under damages, no damages complained. So this is the 22nd of October, 1872, plus 45-day trust law and 3-day grace period is the 6th of December, 1872. Guess what happens on that date? King Kamehameha V, the last reigning monarch of the Hawaiian Islands, is assassinated by poison and dies. The Hawaiian Masons, because he is a 34-degree Mason, being that he is the reigning king and monarch, activates the 20-year moratorium that if you are dead or off the land, because he's responsible for all the land in Hawaii. Add 45 days to December 6th, and you get, plus the 3-day Rescissions Act, and you get the 17th of January, 1873, plus 20 years is 1893. January 17th, 1893, the United States military shows up. The commander of the warship is a postmaster, ordering the postmaster of Hawaiian Islands to take over the Iolani Palace and capture the Hawaiian Islands, putting the Hawaiian Islands into United States territory. Queen Iolani then writes a cursive letter, an adverb verb, to complain. But as the Queen of Hawaii in 1893, she's also a 34-degree Eastern Star. And when you join the Masons or Eastern Star, you surrender your king, queen, presidential, or director's position and are now work for the Masons as a postmaster. And guess what's right across the street from the Iolani Palace? Postmaster, Lodge number 1 for the Masons, the Post Office of Hawaiian Islands, Immigrations, Customs, and the Supreme Court of Hawaii, all in the same room. All the heads of government. So, I looked at this and I'm going like, all right, here we have 45-day trust law. 1-year damages was vacated. 45 trust law and 3-day grace period allows them to assassinate him, plus 45 days and 3-day grace period allows them to take over, plus the 20-year moratorium, capture the Hawaiian Islands. All done by timetables. Now let's work backwards from this. As we know that bankruptcy is a 70-year international condition, plus a 45-day trust law. If you add 45 years and 3-day lemon law, you get 7th December 1941, bombing of Pearl Harbor. The Japanese Post Office declared war on the United States Postal Service in Honolulu, Hawaii. It was a postmaster-to-postmaster war. Only post office vessels, which are all military planes and military ships, carried the mail between the United States and the Hawaiian Islands. The Hawaiian Islands was under military control from 1893, under the United States Postal Service, folks, not the United States government. The government is the post office. The President of the United States, pre-simulation indenture, appoints a Postmaster General who controls all branches of government, CIA, FBI, police, fire, every branch of government, Homeland Security, Department of Interior, Department of Forestry, everything on planet in the United States is controlled by the post office. The post office in all other countries is also controlled by, controls all branches of governments. The directors, the presidents, the kings, the queens, are no more than puppets working for the postmaster. Because the postmaster controls the treasury, who prints the money, controls the military, and that's how the world runs. You want a new world order? It was established on the 22nd of October, on the 22nd of October, 1871 was a new world order. It was set in motion by the post office. New world order has been here for 140 years. So everyone talking about the new world order to take over, it's been in place for 140 years until I showed up and there's a new sheriff on this planet and he's taking care of it with syntax. And that's how it works. And the whole world has to change. Now, what is my position? My position is a teacher, as a plenipotentiary, which means I'm an ambassador judge working for the United Nations to teach planet Earth how to be correct mathematically. Who's in charge of the planet? Well, I'm in charge of grammar. I'm not here to arrest the politicians, the criminals, the bankers, the judges. I'm here to make sure that the infrastructure of this planet is mathematically certified to be correct. We have machines in place, we have buildings in place, we have computers in place. But the people who operate the machine, the people who think about the machine and how it is run, is corrupt in their thinking. So we're going to fix the contracts, and then with the new thinking in a correct mathematical procedure, people will not go to war. And if you want to go to war, you have to create a math problem, and an argument, a contract is mathematically certified to give you justification to do this. Otherwise, you're just babbling about your opinions, about what angers you, and it doesn't have, your opinion has no foundation in law, or in the law, or in the control of people. So the people that created the nightmare know where the bodies are buried. Let's educate them, let's get them up to speed, declare amnesty, fix the wrongs, and get the world functioning on a correct format. And that's what it's all about. I'm not here to hurt anybody, just to educate everyone so we're on the same page of music. So when you look at a politician who stands up and he talks to you in quantum grammar, you understand what he's saying. He's not lying to you. And he can actually write a treaty, write a trust, write a contract, write a constitution, so that you absolutely know what it means, that 3 + 3 = 6. Not that we're going to play games that 2 + 2 = 4 with 100 different definitions. And it's only up to the subjective interpretation of an individual's ability to hoodwink you, or trick you, or make you think one thing and do something else to you.
Or pass it so we know what's in it.
Yeah. So you had a question?
Well, I was just gonna say, to finish the bomb, the atomic bomb on World War
Oh,
Postmaster.
the world, the United States was allowing Nazism to take place and would not get into World War II. So the post office allowed the President of the United States, Roosevelt, knew this timetable. He knew that the Japanese were going to bomb Pearl Harbor on December 7th. 1 minute after the international treaty, which was signed, but he was 90 minutes early. The people, the Japanese pilots who were in the planes, because the rising sun is their symbol, thought it would be poetic justice to hit on the rising sun. But they couldn't bomb until 8 o'clock and the sun came up at 6:30. So their enthusiasm got the better of them, and they forgot about the timetables. And they were supposed to wait until 8 o'clock to do this. But because of time zone changes, somebody screwed up by 90 minutes, and they bombed the Hawaiian post office 90 minutes before the bankruptcy expired. And they bombed a country under bankruptcy, throwing the United States into a rage and allowing World War II to start. Of course, the United States population rose up, was very angry, and everybody ran in and joined the military, and the war became what it became. So there was, sometimes things get screwed up because there's other things on the table that are affected years later. Population control. Now, how about World Trade Center? Everybody watched this on TV 100 times. Heard all the stories and all the rumors, but you never know what really happened. Because I have a nuclear physicist background along with a heat treat specialist, coefficient of expansions, and metallurgy, we have a building that's 1,300 feet tall. Now let's throw an anvil that weighs 500 pounds off the top of the building. How long do you think it's going to take to hit the ground, hit the sidewalk? 12.8 seconds. 12.8 seconds. How long did it take for the World Trade Center to fall down? Anybody know that? 4.8 seconds. And that's compressing all that concrete and steel. What does that say? That says somebody changed gravity, didn't they? Even if the thing was burning out of control, floor by floor by floor, it'd probably take 2 weeks to melt down to the basement. But to accelerate gravity at 3 times its normal speed? Now, I put this presentation on national television in 11 states for an hour with the blessings from physics professors and demolition experts from mining all over the United States. When they saw the presentation privately, they then said, put this on national television because this is the rest of the story that people don't know about. Now, when you core detonate the World Trade Center with C4, now in 1988, I told you I wrote the mathematical procedures to prove that all steel is plastic. Okay, there's a little thing called an iron molecule. And being that I'm a metallurgist, here is a cube. In the center of a cube, below 1650 degrees, you have one nuclei. It's called an iron molecule. When you heat that above 1650 degrees, it becomes what's known as a face center cube molecule, and now you have 6 nuclei. Iron is the only substance in nature that can change its identity. Once it becomes a 6 face-centered cube nuclei, this is now plastic. Red steel. Cherry red steel, just like plastic. Tie it in knots, beat it with a hammer, make swords out of it, anything you want. Heat glass at 2200 degrees and it's liquid. Pour it in anything you want, cool it off, you got glass. Take plastic, at room temperature, tie it in knots, you got your plastic bottles, nice and flexible, doesn't break, cool. Concrete. Pour that concrete block, it's liquid with lime, heated to 1780 degrees. As it cures, 22 minutes later, it turns into plastic. And the chemical reaction becomes epoxy resin. And then in a little less than probably 20 minutes, it turns from epoxy into concrete, and it goes into a center cube, making hard brick. So concrete, steel, and glass are all plastic. They all have a coefficient of expansion of 6.3. Anybody want to guess what the coefficient of your plastic soda water bottle is there? 6.3. That means that anything that's plastic will be affected by C4, plastic explosives. So you core detonate the building with C4 plastic, or thermite, which is a 6.3 also. When it detonates, it creates a bubble, 1,300 feet in diameter. When C4 detonates, it creates a shock wave of 85,000, roughly 85,000 pounds per square inch pressure. All of you that watched the video, this is a 400-foot wide building. The debris field is 850 feet wide above the building when it's still in a static position. Watch the video. The building is standing there and you've got a debris field 550 feet beyond the 400-foot center line. So it's 850 feet in a half second. That's 1,600 feet per second. That's a good acceleration equal to a bullet, or equivalent to a C4 detonation. Every building within a half a mile of the World Trade Center had its windows exploded out at that exact second. And what's the one thing you saw in the air Instantly, when the building was still, when this was going on, what was completely surrounding the building? Paper. Paper was airborne instantly all over the building. How did all that paper get 1,000 feet away from the building in 1 second? Where did it come from? Well, at the exact second of the core detonation of the World Trade Center, what you were looking at was not a concrete, steel, and glass building. What you were looking at was smoke. Not not molecules of concrete, steel, and glass, but atoms of concrete, steel, and glass. Paper is not affected by a 6.3 detonation. Only concrete, steel, and glass turn into smoke. And so you've got a static pile here of smoke. Now, has anyone ever seen the hydrogen bomb explosion on Discovery or National Geographic's?